I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that fate. Even your emotions had an echo, so much space. Out then, without care, yeah, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. I just knew too much. That made me crazy.
Non-stop rock talk with Tyson Bryden. Welcome to Non-stop rock talk. I am, as always, your host, Tyson Bryden. On today's show, I am happy to welcome drummer JJ Garcia. JJ, welcome. How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me. Thanks for making the time again. I know with schedules, it gets kind of unruly, but I appreciate the time, man. Really do.
And I appreciate you coming on. And yeah, we made it work. We had to reschedule a bit, but that, you know what, that happens. It's not the first time. Yeah. So we were able to make that work, and that's amazing. So the band is Katfish.
Correct. Yes.
And as I mentioned, you are the drummer. Mm-hmm. What can you say about Katfish and kind of the origins of the band and whatnot?
Well, I joined probably about 4 years ago, right before the pandemic, like right when that was happening. And it was kind of like, they were an acoustic duo for a number of years. They started in 2000, and they were really well known in their area, like the Barstow High Desert area. That's where they grew up at. They, Tommy Shoemake and Dusty York are really well known in that area. They played sports. They did all these things. So, when they started playing guitars, they kind of were jamming at work and like, hey, we can do this and stuff. And the funny thing about it, there's a little funny story, and I'm paraphrasing because every time they tell me the story, I'm usually had a couple of beers. But they started out by like, hey, man, we can do that. And they went to their local watering hole and got pretty toasted and convinced somebody, yeah, we'll come in here and do a show. And then a couple of days later, Dusty, I think, realized he forgot his credit card there, so he had to go back. And they're like, okay, great. Hey, we'll see you in a few weeks, man. They're like, what are you talking about? Like, well, you booked a show, you and Tommy. And you said you wanted to play here. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll do it. And the funny thing about it was they're like, oh, I guess we got to put our money where our mouth is. So they told all our friends, and they practiced, and they went out and bought a PA because they didn't have one. Matter of fact, I think since they didn't have speaker, stands, they had to use Tommy's mom's TV trays to put the speakers on. And that was their first gig back in 2000, and it went over great. Like, they had a blast, and they played a lot of outlaw country and southern rock and some fun stuff, and that was the origins of it. And then, they were a band that's like, look, we're just going to play when we can, and do what we can, and not make a thing. And it really turned into something special. Like they would do, it turned into an event. They would play, 300 people would show up, or 200 people would show up at these gigs. And then, years later, I joined to fill in for a guy that left the band, and they wanted to turn it into a 4-piece. So we're like, okay, we want to have a rhythm section, but this is how we're doing it and stuff. And I was in a band called Judge Jackson for about 12 years. We called it a day. And then unfortunately, right around that time, our guitar player passed, which was pretty devastating. So it was a hit to all of us when it happened. So we decided, I'm like, look, man, I've done the van tours and RV tours and cross country 1,000 times. And I need a minute to kind of, decompress from that. And then these guys came along and they're like, we're not going to play a lot. We're not going to do, we're just happening, playing gigs organically. And I'm like, okay. Did a couple shows. It was fun. A lot of covers. Again, a lot of stuff that people don't do all the time. But as a drummer, it really taught me, how can I say, there's a lot of swing and 3/4 and stuff that I listened to as a kid. My sisters And my mother worked at a truck stop, in the restaurant for a long time. So I'd hear that on jukebox growing up, but now it's in full circle. I'm originally from Chesterton, Indiana, and I moved out here in '87. So, when I started joining this band, it's like, oh man, this is like stuff I'm familiar with, but haven't really played. I did a lot of rock stuff and Southern rock and done some other stuff, but this was a little bit new. So it kind of invigorated me to do oh, this is cool. This is, something that's fun. And then the pandemic hit, and that's when no one was playing, but we found areas that would have us but we were talking really remote, Topak, Arizona, which is right over the border, from Needles. Vegas shut down, LA shut down, of course, but we would play in Barstow. We played in Pahrump, Nevada. There was people that were coming out, but it was a little lawless because they weren't following protocol, but they didn't have to. They were way off the beaten path, and as long as everyone was respectful, people would show up. And that year we did a handful of shows, and we're like, hey, this is cool. Let's keep doing it. And then just recently, we put out a couple songs. The most recent one is our version of the song, the Gnarls Barkley hit "Crazy," and it features our friend Stevie D on it. He co-produced it, played acoustic guitar, does a solo, plays the Hammond B3, and really took it to another level for us. And here we are now. I'm talking to you. So,
wow, thank you. That was awesome.
That's a lot. Yeah.
No, that's cool. That was great. Now I'm curious. You had mentioned you had played in a previous band for 12 years and whatnot. What was your path into music, especially playing the drums?
Well, I love the drums. It goes back to when I started playing guitar, and I was not even I wasn't that great. There was kids in the neighborhood that were playing down the street, whatever, and they were pretty good. And it's like, man, and my parents bought me a guitar. My dad bought me my first real guitar, and I would strum on it and play on it. But then my neighbor, who I'm still friends to this day, Terry Stewart Jr., was a phenomenal drummer. And not just, oh, I'm pretty good. He would practice to Red Barchetta and Flight of Icarus by Iron Maiden, flawlessly. And I'm like,
wow,
dude, and he was only a few years older than me. He was 17 or 18, and I was probably 14. And he just was amazing. And his whole family was musical. So the brother played guitar, the other brother played bass, dad sang like Elvis. He was great. So I hung out with him, and I started learning the fundamentals pretty quickly, joined some bands, and then I moved out to California with maybe 3 years of experience under my belt. And I wanted to work in the music business, but I also wanted to be a drummer. So the business part happened first. I landed up interning at I.R.S. Records, and then I did A&R Scout and alternative marketing for them for a couple of years. I worked at Cherokee Recording Studios. I ended up doing the mailroom and administration over at Polygon Records and so forth. And then when those things were consolidating, I had to rely on drumming to pay the rent. Oh, okay, cool. Hey, we have a birthday party, or can you? Oh, yeah, sure. We'll pay $75. Okay, well, cool, and I'll be there. And and that's also how I found out the hard way that happy birthday to me is in 3/4. So it's it's not in 4. So it's like, well, okay, cool. But those were the things that got me started, and then I started kind of just getting in a van with a band that got a deal through Caroline Distribution called Stone. That we got a lot of blessings in the fact that John Carpenter, we were introduced to him. He got us on a couple soundtracks. We're heard in some of his movies, Vampires and Ghost of Mars, and it just kind of I got great opportunities. I got a lot of stuff, played on a lot of demos for people and some other stuff, and just I always worked in a business. I'm 56 now, and the fact that I'm still in the business part of it, and also I get to play and make some money, is pretty awesome.
That is amazing. Now you mentioned you worked at I.R.S. Records.
So
I'm trying to think of what bands were on that label. Like what timeline would that be?
around Alarm just came out. That was their biggest record at the time. With Rain in the Summertime was that big song off that record. Almost went gold. REM Document came out, went platinum. That's before they went to Warner Brothers. But they started getting hard rock bands and stuff like that. Like I was an intern at first, so I was an intern for a great person named Ann Lorero and Karen Kelly, who kind of took me under their wings. I was just 19. I just turned 19, and
That's amazing.
yeah, so I just got to really get overloaded on the business end and how things happened, but also got to meet other people like Saul Miles, met Miles Copeland, Jay Boberg, who was the president at the time, and everyone else, and seeing how that business worked, and really to this day still friends with a lot of these people. But they were signing Shop Paris out of Ohio. They signed Seduce.
I remember them.
Yeah, Seduce
Was
from
Seduce?
Yeah.
They were a thrash band, right?
They were that record they did on I.R.S. is pretty heavy, but they did some shows opening from Megadeth, and they were a great band. They were a power trio, but they took a guitar player out on the road. So it was kind of cool. But yeah, and then they signed Black Sabbath when Cozy Powell and Tony Martin. So that
yeah.
So I got to experience
That's
all
right.
that. So that was around that time.
That's cool. Was Cry Wolf on that label?
They were through. I think it was distributed through I.R.S. but Grand Slam, and that's when I already left.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And Lily and Axe, were they on that label?
They were on MCA, the first one, and then the second one.
The first two.
I think Poetic Justice was on. It was on Grand Slam as well. Distributed through I.R.S. Yeah.
Oh, through I.R.S. Yeah. It's funny. I was listening to that Lily and Axe True Believer today.
Yeah.
Which is, I have it on a playlist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what made the gears rolling in my head, because I was like, oh, I.R.S. I remember this band and this band.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Right.
So I want to ask you about, as being a drummer, are you a collector of drums?
Yes, to my wife's dismay. We had a rule in our other place. We just moved last year, but we had a room with a guest room. She goes, okay, whatever you do, no drums go in that guest room. So, of course I was putting stuff together and going through many snare drums I had. And she went in there and almost broke her toe. And she goes, I thought we had understanding. So, but yeah, I've been very lucky and got to do some really cool stuff where I had endorsements with different companies. Thai Drums, for one, I've been with them for 20 years. They've downsized like a lot of these companies, but they, were very generous. Todd Trent was there, a lot of other people that were great, that were treated me like I was up here. But, my status was, I was a working dude doing about 100 gigs a year. You might see me at the House of Blues, but you also might see me at a keg party. It was, I had no pride, there was like no problem with that.
Yeah.
You know what? You're paying me and you're going to feed me? Yeah. What time I have to be there? It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So those things were cool. But yeah, I, collected many snare drums. And then I've bought more, as time goes on. And there's some great companies out there right now. And I get to, and my wife bought me a couple for Christmas, which I used. She picked out some great ones. And matter of fact, I used them on a gig recently. And so she's got a good ear for that stuff. So, she's helped me in my quest of getting too much gear.
That's amazing. Do you have a snare that is your favorite snare?
Oh, man. Gosh, that's how much time you got. I have a Thai brass snare that is awesome. It's 14 by 6.5 brass snare I use on a ton of gigs. My wife bought me a snare, which was a Ludwig super light, which is like their mid-range from their, other higher end snares. And she bought it and it sat in a box for about 6 months. And then one day she's like, are you ever going to play that? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And I took it to a session that I was doing for Judge Jackson. And I'm like, look, I know we're cutting this, but I want to try this snare out. My wife bought it for Christmas. And, I just want to see how it works. Well, man, I put a great Aquarian Modern Vintage 2 head on it, which is like a 2-ply um, monster sound out of it, and I just got it ready. And the guy goes, "Man, we should record this. This sounds great." So it goes to show you sometimes not you don't have to spend $1,000 to get that $1,000 sound. There's some good ones out there, but that Superlight is kind of my workhorse. The Thai brass snare, which is great. I have a Thai birch snare, which is 13 by 6.5 that I like a lot. So those are like 3 out of I don't know how many. I just got a Wood Hoop Pacific. It's clear, like acrylic, with wood hoops that I'm still trying to break in. So PDP, which is owned by it's DW. So they make some killer stuff. So that's a few of them. I know if I go downstairs, I'm like, I forgot about that one and that one. And oh gosh, I don't forget about you. I love you too. Anyways, well, not to make it weird.
It's fun. The reason I asked that question is because I'm a musician myself, so my drummer buddies are all like, especially the drummer in my band, mm-hmm. and him and I are good friends, and we often talk. We're like, I said to him on the weekend, I was over in Ottawa. I'm in Toronto here, but I was playing in Ottawa, and I said, have you ever sold a drum kit? And he more or less, he's like, no. He goes, I don't usually sell my drum kits. He's like, I have a ton of drum kits. So when I was getting ready for this interview, that was a question I wanted to ask you, because I seem to find that a lot of drummers really, and other drummer buddies of mine collect drums too. So right. It seems like usually it becomes it's like a guitar player with an addiction of buying guitars.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've sold stuff, unfortunately, which I've regretted, and I've learned, like I've sold a couple things just out of a need. Like, I got too many, I'll thin the herd, and then, I got some bills to pay. And then I go back for, I'm like, I wish I would have got rid of that cymbal or gotten rid of that. So, and especially when I got a deal with Paiste cymbals, I had old cymbals that I got rid of because I didn't need them, and then realized, oh man, but I like the sound of that. Thin Crash, Sabian, that Zildjian that I only used on recordings. Gosh darn it, I wish I had it, because someone would ask, hey, you got that? Now I got rid of it when I got, my deal, and just to honor it, I wouldn't use other stuff. But I realized recording, you could use other things that are pleasing to the producer or what they're trying to do and stuff. And I've regretted that stuff. But I donated a couple drum kits. A good friend of mine from my hometown, I call him the professor because he's he's a doctor and a professor at college here in Taft. But his wife and him they help teach music to other people. They got a grant, so I donated one of my Thai kits to them. So I felt good about that, And then I donated one to a charter school here in Pine Mountain Club, California, because they needed a new water heater. So I was happy because I got that kit kind of as a mistake. Ty was kind enough to send it to me. It was all the wrong sizes. And they're like, you know what? Just hold on to it. We'll send you the right kit. I'm like, what? Okay. You never have enough drums. Wow. So, but after a year sitting around, and I wanted to try to do something cool and just kind of like give back, so to speak, I donated this drum kit when I was playing in a band called Bone the Blues Drivers. And they raffled it off, and they made really good money. Definitely way more than if I went and sold it. So I was happy about that, and it made me feel good. I'm like, okay, I probably won't sell anything, but if I had to help a cause and I had it, I would say, here you go. So
yeah, I mean that's for the right reasons, right? For great reasons, and I admire that. It's funny you mentioned your wife finding snares and whatnot. Recently, my wife came home. I bought this a Taylor acoustic about a year ago. Okay. Well, I've had a horrible time with it. It's great. It's a great guitar when it's not plugged in.
Okay.
Once it's plugged in, it's thin. It's like I can't, especially on the high E string, I can't get anything out of it. So anyways, and she knew this. So anyway, she went one Saturday morning. She got her hair done, and she was coming out of the salon, and there was a music store next door to it that she'd never been in. And anyways, long story short, she comes home with this pedal for me for acoustic guitar.
Oh, wow.
So hearing that your wife does that's the same, I thought that was amazing. And you know what? That pedal worked out for me good. It still didn't make the Taylor what I wanted it to be. I'm back to my Takamine for acoustic gigs, but you know, it's I always say that guitar, unfortunately, for the cost of it, would make a good baseball bat or in the fire, because it's not. I'm so disappointed with it. I've never really been disappointed with the guitar. It sounded amazing in the store, but to plug it in, and then I went back and read about it, and it had said, you know, the reviews on the pickups in them are really bad. So I should have done a little bit more research.
Well, it's just it's funny because I gave my wife so much crap about it, but she was right. They're always right, as I'm finding out. But the funny thing is, I remember she wanted to get a Les Paul. She's taking guitar lessons right now and singing lessons, and she enjoys it, and she plays for fun. And well, years ago, she was like, I want to buy a Les Paul, because she saw, Lee Jackson, the one that passed, one of her dear friends, he played Les Pauls. And she goes, I want to get one. So she went on eBay and stuff, and then she's like, oh, this one is for like $800. I'm like, you're never going to find anything under $1,000 for like a good Les Paul. You're not going to have. Yeah. But they didn't label it right. Like, it was at a pawn shop, and they labeled, guitar, Les Paul, whatever. They didn't, and they had very few. It was at some place, and so she bought it. So she not only did she get it for around $700 or $800, I think they got it. We looked into it. It was made in Nashville, I think, in the early '80s. Black Les Paul, beautiful, definitely worn. Definitely way worth more than what she got it
for.
What
you pay.
No, but now, she's got a nice case for it. It's protected. It's kind of put up. God forbid if there's a fire, she would take that and our pets first, and then come back for me, and then, So
I don't know what I'd do.
Yeah.
I don't know which guitar I would grab first, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's funny, but yeah, she scored on it. But you find these things where someone doesn't know what they have, and then they are like, going through and like, oh yeah, it's a guitar, kind of Les Paul shape or whatever. Like, no, dude, that's a Nashville made in 1984.
Les Paul.
And yeah, and it just was worn out. Someone probably sent it to, pawned it, never picked it up, put it on eBay. She made out, got it, and that happens sometimes. So she's gotten lucky. So
that's pretty cool. That's a cool story. Okay, so let's talk about Crazy.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned Stevie D of Buckcherry playing on the song. How did he play into the equation? How did he end up playing on the song?
Well, one of my side hustles is artist management. I work in art with other artists and stuff. And he was working and writing with a client that I have named Genzi out of the South. He lives in Central Florida, doing great. And Stevie and him work together. And I've known Stevie for a number of years. We have mutual friends, of course. And mutual close friends, and he was, again, close to Lee Jackson. He's just a talented dude. Like, he has his own studio in his house. He's a tremendous guy, and he plays great. And one day I just asked him, like, look, this came out pretty good. This is only like 2 or 3 takes of things, but it needs some love and, and stuff. And I'd love for you to play on it. And he happened to have the time in between, recording and writing for Buckcherry. He was writing for several other people. He's wrote with Dead Daisies, Aaron Jones, several other people. I mean, he's wrote for some country guys and stuff. And he had the time to take it, strip it down a little bit, play B3 on it, play a ripping acoustic solo on it, add some other stuff to it, and pretty much, well, we only had a couple of recalls, and we're like, wow, this is way, like, it brought it to another level. And then, and so we decided to release it through My Valley of Fire imprint. We've gotten some stations to play it. A lot of people were supporting it, and, it came out great.
It's amazing. I love the B3 on there, but
okay, cool. That's all Stevie. Yeah.
I love B3.
Yeah.
I mean, every song should have B3. No, not every song, but anything earth, like, you know, like with a great vibe, an old Southern or a blues vibe should have B3 on it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I love it. It sounds awesome.
I mean, I wouldn't want someone in a band with a B3 because I wouldn't want help move it.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
There was a band from London, Ontario back probably 25, 30 years ago, and they had a B3 player.
Uh-huh.
And I think I asked them once, I was like, do you guys have to help him carry it? Obviously they did, right?
Yeah.
This thing was a beast. But the sound says it all, right?
Yeah. Gosh, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name. He played with Richie Kotzen for a while, who's one of my favorites. And
me too.
Oh my gosh. His name, I want to say his name was Arlo, but he, in the baked potato, which is small, it's like playing in your living room. But man, I'd see Richie there a couple of times when my wife and I went. But man, he brought in 2 of those, you know, like things like to pay his B3, like his tech, like would bring that stuff. Like if the gig was like at 9 o'clock, he was there at like 2, unloading the stuff, getting it ready, and then he would come in and start getting things. And it sounded killer. But it's like, man, you have to plan like a day in advance when you need to bring that rig. But it sounded amazing. But you know how drummers become singers because it's like, I don't want to deal with that. You know, you know, like keyboard players, like, oh man, like that's a lot. Like, you know, if I'm getting 200 for the gig, I know my tech's getting half of it because that's insane. Like, and I'm just,
that is insane.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't deny it, man. And seeing Richie with that guy, they would trade off, and I was like, it's mind blowing. Like, you know. So, anyways, yeah. I mean, you know, if you can get it into the writer of whatever gig that it's there for you, then perfect. But if you're the guy that has to help them, you're like, oh, sorry, I got to go, and my cat needs to be washed or something. I'll be right back.
Exactly. I got something to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned Richie Kotzen at the Baked Potato because my wife actually flew out to LA to see Richie Kotzen at the Baked Potato.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're big fans. Like, we just saw him at the Magic Bag in Detroit back in October. So we're big fans.
Yes, I'm a huge fan. My wife will tell me I have a man crush on him. We saw him play at the Key Club, I think when it was still the Key Club, and we almost left. Like, we saw our other friend playing in his band. Doug Aldridge was playing in a band called Burning Rain at the time, so we saw him.
Love Burning Rain.
Yeah, dude, he killed it. Doug's awesome. We go way back.
Yes.
And then we're like, okay, we'll catch a couple songs of Richie Kotzen because I know him from, you know, his solo record and Poison and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, and he's great. And we stayed the whole day. And then I went on the phone and downloaded everything. And I didn't realize he had like 20 solo records he put out on his own.
I know.
And they're all awesome. Like, you know, and I make the joke to people like, yeah, that Richie Kotzen is my spirit animal. That guy is an anomaly. Like that, you know.
Well, I mean, the whole with Doug Aldrich, I am blown away that you actually saw Burning Rain live because I didn't realize that they probably did shows in LA. Is that it?
They did a couple, and I think Japan. I think that was who he was playing with at the time. I mean, Doug and I go way back because he recorded a record at his house for my old band Stone. We were doing demos. And he was recording them. He was the engineer, and
wow.
And
I'm a big fan of Doug as well.
Oh man, he's super guy. I learned a lot from him during that time. But we were, you know, at his house. Like I was cutting drums, and where his washer and dryer were, he pulled them out, and he had all, you know, like it was all padded. So you know, and I had to do the drums before like 7 o'clock because his neighbors would freak out. And then he had a small studio in his pool house, and man, it sounded great. And we were originally doing demos. We had some interest with Atlantic at the time. It came and went, but we're like, okay, we did these few songs. Can we do a few more with you? Because we're going to put this out. I mean, and we ended up doing 14 songs. But yeah, I had always great advice. His Zen-like temperament helped us deal with some things, you know, as being a 3-piece, you know, there's always that battle of trying to figure stuff out. And, you know, we had the principal songwriter in the band who worked well, but he was the guitar player as well. But Doug always had great advice and was able to, keep things at a cool simmer, when things got weird with the band. He was just had a very zen approach. He's a tremendous human as well. So, and again, great guitar player.
I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't listen to something that he's done. Like going all the way back to Lion and Bad Moon Rising and Hurricane, House of Lords. Like there's so much material before he was with Whitesnake and Dio.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we made the joke. My buddy and I, Brian James, who's the bass player at the time, he's one of my closest friends. He was the best man at my wedding and stuff. We were laughing because guys would warm up and they get really good. We would go at Doug's house probably 8:30 in the morning to start our day there. And he would just be playing and like just woke up, like just got a cup of coffee and just start. And it's like
shredding.
And we were just like, what are we doing? This is amazing. This is ridiculous. This guy is awesome. But that's how good he is, So
I mean, to me, he was the only guy that played when he was in Whitesnake that played cry. A lot of that John Sykes stuff.
Oh, he gave it so much justice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As it was.
Oh, okay.
And I admired him so much. I remember seeing Whitesnake on the first reunion tour and I was like, I didn't know he was in the band.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's Doug Aldrich. That is amazing. And he just blew me away.
Yeah. Awesome.
Anyway, sorry about that. We got
that's all right, man. I can talk about that stuff all day long, man. It's awesome.
That's amazing. Now, I have to ask, this is an odd question. What is the lucky wooden nickel?
Oh, we just made a bunch of wooden nickels with Katfish. I wish I had one on me to show you. I'll be happy to send you one too if you'd like. But we just made them around St. Patrick's Day. And, it's a green logo on one side and then the lucky wooden nickel on the other side. And we would throw them out and people would ask us at our merch table, do you have any more? I'll buy them. And I'm like, it was a thing that became, just was for fun. But in the sense of branding, like I'm going to put our logo on stuff and give it out to people, let people take something away. That's pretty much what it was.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we started making a few of them and then it turned into this life of its own, and people have always asked for it and stuff like that. And I get people that, one of our shows, like, oh, I took one and drilled a hole through it. Now it's always on my keychain, or,
That's cool.
I did this or to it, or I always carry with me. It's brought me luck. And I'm like, wow, okay, well, cool. So, I always appreciate hearing those stories.
That's awesome. I saw it on your Facebook.
Oh, okay, yeah. We threw a few
I was
out.
like, that is so cool. I've got to ask about that.
Yeah.
So, and another thing I saw on your Facebook page that I thought was really cool was your poster for your upcoming tour dates with Tombstone.
Oh yeah, it's a movie that the guys love, especially Tommy. He's the one that came up with that, I think. Tommy Shoemake, guitar player, and we always try to do cool. Kevin Badamy, who's out of San Diego, he's like our art guy, and he's a guy that just comes up with great things, and we'll give him ideas and drive him crazy at that, because it's like we don't want to do just there's a picture of 4 dudes hanging out drinking beer, like, hey, we got a show, we're like, let's do something special. We've done different movie poster themes, we've done different things when we played in Sturgis and stuff like that kind of fit that culture and kind of honor that, and we just want to make it fun, and it's turned those posters into collectibles. Again, same thing. We've had people asking, can we get a couple of those posters? And if I have extra ones, I'll give them out. But now people are asking for more. And I'm like, oh, so it's definitely a testament to Kevin Badamy's work. He's been pretty tremendous. And I drive him crazy going, hey, can you do this with this? Because I have no knowledge of, like, I know what I see. But if you told me to put it together, it's like it would come out as a stick figure and with a funny hat. That's it. I'm not that inclined when it comes to that stuff. So
that's awesome. Well, I hate to say it, but I have to let you go.
Oh.
JJ, I want to thank you for joining me today. It was truly a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'd love to come back. Because I've already bored my wife with all these details to the point where she thinks, like, I repeat them. She goes, you already told me that story. I already know. So, So I'm happy.
I think we should. I think we should do it again.
I'm
I would
happy
love
to.
that.
That'd be awesome. And by the way, Judge Jackson played in Canada. Our singer, he's in another band called The Ruins now that's doing pretty good. And they're on a label out of Canada. Our good friend Bart Robley is a drummer. I'll give him a plug there, of that band. But we played in Huntsville.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We played
Cool.
a lot of, getting a lot of airplay several years ago. And I think it's the Moose. I can't remember. It was a rock station.
The Moose
out there.
Yeah, I know that state. That's in Huntsville. I think that's in that area.
Yeah, Toronto and stuff like that. We got a lot of.
There's a whole bunch of. We have a bunch of different monikers for radio stations. There's the Bear in Ottawa and the Moose, and then the Wolf in Peterborough, Ontario. So they like to use those, Canadian animal type of things.
Yeah, no, totally. But we had a great time out there. So Canada is amazing. So I haven't been back in a number of years, but it was a treat. It was a pretty amazing time.
Were you here in the winter or the summer?
We were there just Labor Day weekend. I want to say 2010, 2011, around there. That's how long ago it's been. So,
because if you were here right now, you may not enjoy it.
Oh no! I mean, I grew up in Northwest Indiana, and
oh right.
So I don't. I love the snow and I miss my friends, but I don't love shoveling snow. And and same with Todd McTavish, who's the singer of Judge Jackson. He's from that area. He moved out to California for a reason. We like to see the snow, visit it. That's it. We come back. So there you go.
That's awesome. Well,
Tyson, thank you for your time.
How do I stay in touch with you? So that we can maybe.
You could with Facebook. You can catch Facebook Katfish with a K. Go to our Facebook page. We also have a Katfish_acoustic Instagram page. And that's how people can get a hold of us. And, our music is we have 2 songs out right now under Katfish. So we're hoping that people will come out. There is a Katfish that used to be in the 70s, so don't get it confused with that. But yeah, we're putting more music out soon. So hopefully, we'll be letting people know.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much.
No problem.
And
thank you.
We will definitely talk again.
Okay, cool. Tyson, take care. Good luck at
you too.
your appointment, and thanks again.
Thanks so much.
All right, take care. See ya.
Okay, bye-bye.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that fate. Even your emotions had never